So this is the brand new Adidas Adilette 22. Kanye West hates them, but I love them. What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and today I'm reviewing the brand new Adidas Adilette 22, the slide that is literally making waves in the sneaker community. Before we get into any of the drama though, let's first talk about how you can grab a pair of the Adidas Adilette 22s. So this slide is already released through Adidas's website. I'm not exactly sure how that release procedure went because I completely missed out on it, but apparently this slide completely sold out. As of right now, it comes in 3 different colorways: the Magic Lime colorway, which is sort of an olive green, the Desert Sand colorway, which is more of a tan, and the Magic Lime Desert Sand colorway, which is literally a mashup or mix of both of the other colorways. And in addition to the wild aesthetics of this shoe, I think the main reason that this sneaker actually sold out was because this shoe was priced at a relatively reasonable $55. But at the same time, when you compare this to something like the YEEZY Slide, which usually sells out and resells for like $200, this is not a terrible price. And it's funny that we're already comparing this slide to the YEEZY Slides because that seems to be Kanye's main problem with this shoe, that this shoe looks just like YEEZY Slides or very similar. If you were like me and you missed out on this release, the good news is they should be restocking these shoes at some point in the future, or if you're impatient, also like me, you can grab a pair of these for yourself on GOAT, and I made sure to leave an affiliate link to GOAT in the top of the description below. But why don't we get into some of that Kanye drama and talk about why Kanye West is so pissed at Adidas for releasing a pair of slides. So up until about yesterday, the Adidas Adilette 22 was a pretty popular shoe in its own right. I mean, as you can tell, and we'll get into a little bit later on in the review, this shoe is a pretty huge departure from any of the previous Adidas Adilettes. And the main reason for that is its crazy new design aesthetic and brand new shape. But even though the Adilette 22s are a new take on the slide and feature a crazy new texture on the upper, the comparison has to be drawn between this shoe and the Adidas YEEZY Slide. Because I mean, let's be honest, this shoe looks very similar to the Adidas YEEZY Slide. In fact, the overall shape of the shoe is almost identical. The only real difference is the material use and also the textural change. And it's the similarities between these two shoes that prompted Kanye West to Instagram this. To quote an excerpt from Kanye West's now deleted Instagram post, "Bravery is not being afraid. Bravery is overcoming your fear for your truth. These shoes represent the disrespect that people in power have to the talent. This shoe is a fake Yeezy made by Adidas themselves. I'm not talking to DC about this either. Casper, come talk to me. Happy Monday." So apparently Kanye West feels like Adidas is ripping off his Adidas YEEZY Slide with another Adidas slide. Which, while in some ways I understand because yes, there is definitely a similarity between these two shoes, at the end of the day, they're both from the same brand. And not only that, Adidas has done this before. They take a popular Yeezy sneaker and they create something that's similar, but not exactly the same, that they sell to the masses. Which I actually think is kind of a good thing because for a lot of people, they can't afford Yeezy sneakers, especially not at resale. So to have the chance to grab a shoe that has the same sort of vibe as a Yeezy shoe from the same brand is actually nice to have the option. But looking at it from Kanye West's point of view, it's obvious that Kanye had no idea that Adidas was doing this, and the fact that they didn't even consult him or talk to him about creating a shoe that is obviously heavily inspired by his shoe is a little whack. Now I am actually thinking about dropping a comparison video between the Adidas YEEZY Slide and the Adidas Adilette 22, and if that's a video you guys want to see, make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. But as far as the drama between Kanye West and Adidas about these slides, I feel like it kind of has to end here. Kanye West is signed to Adidas. It's not like this shoe is a blatant ripoff. In fact, it's less of a blatant ripoff than some ripoffs from other brands, and at the same time, it's a shoe release from the same exact brand. I mean, we've seen this countless times. Whenever someone releases a collaboration with the brand, whether it's Adidas, Nike, New Balance, usually that same brand releases a lower end version that looks similar to try and capitalize on the hype. It's just the way of the sneaker market, and while yes, it kind of sucks that your idea that you presented to that brand is being in a way copied by that brand, at the same time, shouldn't it be a little bit flattering? I don't know, I kind of understand where Kanye is coming from, but at the same time, I feel like this is a good thing. It's different enough to where people won't immediately associate it with Yeezy shoes, and at the same time, it offers a much cheaper alternative to one of the most popular shoes on the market. But I digress. At this point, why don't we get into the review of the Adidas Adilette 22s? So usually at this point in my reviews, I talk about the box. In this case, it's pretty self-explanatory. No reason to go into that any deeper, but getting into the Adilette 22s themselves, while the design of this shoe is definitely inspired by the YEEZY Slides, at the same time, it does a lot of cool new stuff that I'm actually really into. So according to Adidas, the design of this shoe is inspired by the topography of Mars. Which, I mean, sure, I guess you can see that inspiration. You could also see like a regular topographical map or just a 3D printed shoe, because this is sort of the layering effect that you get when you 3D print something. But no matter what the inspiration of this shoe, I do think it gives this shoe a very unique and interesting look. Now, while I wouldn't wear this shoe as much as the YEEZY Slides because I like the minimalist aesthetic of those shoes, At the same time, I like that they're doing something different and really exploring. Adidas hasn't done that as much in the last couple years, and it's cool to see them try something just kind of out of the box. As far as the colorway goes for the Adilette 22s, I think out of the 3 colorways that have dropped or will drop, this colorway is by far my favorite. The tan is nice, the green is nice, but this sort of mixed look is very, very clean. And while yes, again, I do think it's inspired by Kanye's sneakers, at the same time, he has yet to do this on a pair of slides, and I'd actually really love to see a pair of Yeezy slides that came with this mixed look. So material-wise, the Adilette 22 is a one-piece EVA construction. And what's interesting about this EVA foam is that it's apparently made up of 17% sugarcane or plant-based materials. And one thing I really love about Adidas is that they're genuinely working towards sustainable footwear. While at the beginning, I do think it was a little bit more of a marketing stunt than anything, as the years have progressed, they genuinely are making huge strides towards creating footwear that's recyclable or made of materials that aren't oil-based. And this shoe is just another great example of that. Again, I just love what Adidas is doing. Now, as far as build, I mentioned that this shoe is a one-piece construction, which means that it's literally all made up of one piece, which is really interesting because when you mold something like this, you've got to have a lot of different intricate actions, which are the parts of the mold that move out when you're done molding the thing. And just like on the Yeezy slide, it seems like there's only one injection point where they inject the material into the mold, and that's right there on the toe. You can tell it's that little circle that has a different texture than any other part of the shoe. And especially with this crazy texture, I'm very impressed that they were able to mold this shoe as a one piece. It's pretty incredible. You've obviously got a parting line down the side of the midsole, so that's where the 2 main actions came apart, and then you've got another parting line around the back of the heel right here, which again is where another action came out, and it looks like there's another one on the front of the shoe, so maybe it was like a 4 action thing. But parting lines and injection points are sort of the way that you can determine how certain products are made. And manufacturing wise, design wise, I'm just really impressed. I think they did a great job with this shoe. But now let's get into the actual on-foot feel and the fit of the Adilette 22s. So I've actually had a lot of pairs of Adidas Adilettes in the past. This is just one of them. This is a pair that I made when I hit 250,000 subscribers. But one thing I don't love about the traditional Adilettes is how stiff this midsole is. Like, it's a very hard, barely flexible midsole. And yes, it is contoured to your foot, so it is comfortable, but I still miss that sort of soft, bouncy cushion underneath my foot. And I'm happy to report that because the Adilette 22s are made up entirely of EVA foam, they are significantly softer underfoot. It's a very soft and cushioned ride. However, it's nowhere near as soft as the Yeezy Slides. Whatever they did, whatever kind of foam they used in these Yeezy Slides feels so much softer. This feels a lot closer to Boost. This feels just like a standard EVA foam underneath your foot. It's not bad, it's still very comfortable and miles ahead of the previous Adilettes, but at the same time, if you're looking for like that max cushion, the Yeezy Slides are the way to go. But again, we'll get into that a little bit deeper in the actual comparison between these two shoes. One kind of minor thing that I like about the Adilette 22s is that because the surface texture of this material is a little bit more semi-gloss than the Yeezy Slides, they actually slide on and off of your foot a little bit easier. They don't kind of stick to your foot as much. One detail that I just noticed now that I have the shoes in hand is this very subtle Adidas 3 stripes detail. So you might not even be able to notice it on the shoe when you look at it from the top, but usually on Adilette slides you have the Adidas 3 stripes running across the top of this foot strap thing. In this case, obviously you don't have that, but you do have these 3 little almost mountainous regions is what I'll call them, that sort of indicate that the 3 stripes would be there or that they are there. It's so cool to me that they sort of hid the Adidas branding in there while keeping it very subtle. It kind of looks like the shoe is wrinkling, which is also a cool look. I just love how cool of a detail that is. That's something that I did not notice online, and now having it in hand, you can sort of see it. Very, very cool. As far as fit, the Adidas Adilette 22s are honestly pretty weird, which is kind of on par for Adidas. They always have weird sizing issues. So this shoe, from what I can tell, doesn't come in half sizes. Although they sometimes have half sizes on the website, they actually only send you whole sizes. And what's even crazier is that if you look at the size tag of this shoe, it says it's a US size 9, which is my true size, and then a UK size 9, which is actually a whole size up. So Adidas is literally saying that this shoe is 2 different sizes, which doesn't make any sense to me at all. In fact, I actually watched Hess Kick's review of this shoe. He had the exact same problem. He ordered a half size and got the same size that I got. He's a size 9.5. So it's really crazy to me that Adidas is so off about their sizing. I just don't understand why that keeps happening over and over and over again. But as far as sizing advice goes, if you're a whole size like me, I would say go with your whole size. I'm a size 9. I grabbed a size 9. However, for half size people out there, the good news for you is if you go down a half size, you're pretty much grabbing a shoe in your true size. So for example, with Hess, he tried to grab a size 9.5. He got the size 9, and it actually fits him perfectly. And it's crazy because the sizing of this shoe is not similar to the Yeezy Slides at all. It doesn't make any sense to me, but hey, that's Adidas for you. Oh, one thing you may have noticed while watching the on-foot portions of this shoe are the fire socks that I was wearing with these slides. So those socks were the Apothecary Lightning Sock collection that's dropping this Friday, June 17th. This collection comes in 4 different colorways, and each one of the socks has a cool, unique feature. So for example, the sock that I'm wearing, the lightning bolt, is actually glow in the dark. The other colorways feature different unique logo details. The red sock comes with a reflective logo. The teal sock features a UV color change logo, which changes from white to pink when you get it in the sun. And then the yellow pair also features a reflective logo. And together, this sort of experimental lightning pack is one of the craziest collections we've ever done. So if you'd like to check out the crazy new Apothecary Lightning collection, it drops this Friday, June 17th at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And if you click the link in the description below, you can sign up for our email list to be notified whenever we have new limited edition collections dropping. Also, I've got to say that sort of navy blue green colorway that we're dropping goes literally perfectly with this shoe. It's crazy. I didn't even mean to do that, but it's like a perfect fit. Continuing back in the slides, on the lateral side, you have this text that says the brand with 3 stripes printed in black. And what's interesting about this text is that it's actually printed over, I guess, 2 different layers of the shoe. There's like a higher layer that has the 3 stripes portion and a lower layer that has the brand with. And honestly, it's a weird look. I wish they hadn't included that. That really kind of bums me out. It takes away from the cool, minimal aesthetic of this shoe. It gives it sort of a techie vibe, which I don't really love on this pair of slides. But I mean, hey, I guess that is one way to differentiate yourselves from Yeezy Slides, so that's probably why they did it. Also, I've got to say that the shadows that this sort of topographical texture gives the shoe in certain lighting can be really crazy. So I was driving home last night from the Apothecary basketball game with the co-founder Osman. I was in his car and I was looking down at my feet, and the interior lights of his car were shining down on my shoe, and it gave the lateral side of the slide such a crazy look. I mean, it almost looked like an entirely different shoe, and that's purely because of the shadows that were cast on this shoe in certain lighting. Honestly, I mean, while this design aesthetic might not be for everyone, if you're looking for a crazy pair of slides, this is one of the craziest slides out there. Then finally moving to the outsole of these shoes, you've got this really interesting traction pattern which differs wildly from any of the previous Adilette slides. It's not flat. It's got this, again, topography inspired traction pattern, which I don't think really adds any extra traction, but at the same time, this foam is definitely more grippy than some of the plastics and rubbers that they've used in the past, so I'm here for it. And I actually kind of dig this traction pattern a little bit more than the traction pattern found on the Yeezy Slides. It's more unique, it's more interesting. So overall, while Kanye West might not be a big fan of these slides because he feels like they ripped him off, I'm still a huge fan of these slides. I feel like it's a really cool direction for Adidas, and while yes, it is heavily inspired by the Yeezy Slides, at the same time, it tries something different and something new, and while it might not be for everybody, I'm glad that they're trying it. It's a very comfortable pair of shoes, it's very wearable. While the colorways are crazy and out there, they will be releasing more colorways in the future, and I think if you can grab a pair of these at retail at $55, I think this shoe is absolutely worth it. But at this point, I would love to know your thoughts on the Adidas Adilette 22s, whether you feel like Kanye West is right to be mad at Adidas, whether you like these shoes, whether you hate these shoes. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.